They thought they were invisible. They thought they were safe. But when 47 human warships turned to face them in the void, they realized they had made a terrible mistake. The void stretched eternal and cold, a canvas of infinite darkness punctured only by the distant glow of ancient suns. Commander Vexthal stood motionless at the command nexus of the Wraith's whisper, his 4 crimson eyes locked onto the holographic projection hovering before him. The display showed nothing but the empty expanse separating the galactic dominion's chartered territories from the wild, unexplored reaches beyond. Vexthal belonged to the Kyvarn, a species renowned across 73 star systems for their unparalleled reconnaissance capabilities and technological superiority. His pale, translucent skin shimmered under the ambient blue light of the ship's interface panels, and his elongated frame moved with the fluid grace of a predator born in zero gravity. 28 cycles he had served as a reconnaissance commander. 28 cycles of mapping the unknown, cataloging civilizations, and returning with intelligence that shaped Dominion policy. He had never failed a mission. "Commander," a voice broke the silence. It belonged to Lieutenant KRL, a newly assigned officer whose enthusiasm often bordered on recklessness. "I'm registering anomalous energy patterns ahead. Sector Theta 9. Distance, 1.8 million kilometers." Vexthal's mandibles twitched, a subtle gesture of annoyance. Young officers always mistook sensor ghosts for discoveries. "Display the readings," he commanded, his voice layered with the harmonic resonance typical of his species. The hologram shifted, revealing a cluster of pulsing energy signatures. They throbbed irregularly, sometimes flaring bright, sometimes dimming to near nothing, as if whatever generated them hadn't yet learned to control its own power. Vexthal studied them carefully. They were unlike anything in the Dominion's extensive archives. "What sector is this?" he asked. "Theta 9, Commander. Edge of Dominion surveillance. Beyond this point, our charts show only projections and theoretical extrapolations." KYRL pulled up additional data. "According to our intelligence files, the nearest civilization is a pre-spacefaring species designated humans. They occupy a G-type star system roughly 38 light-years from our current coordinates." Vexthal's secondary eyes narrowed. He remembered the briefings. Humans, a species cataloged nearly 200 cycles ago when a Dominion probe had passed through their system undetected. At that time, they were launching crude chemical propulsion vehicles and had barely achieved orbital capability around their own planet. The Dominion had classified them as Tier 5, a developing species expected to require at least 400 cycles before achieving faster-than-light travel. "Are you suggesting," Vexthal said slowly, "that these energy signatures originate from the humans?" "The location is consistent with their territory, Commander, but the readings indicate technology far beyond what they should possess. Perhaps another species has migrated into this region." That made more sense. The galaxy was vast, and new players emerged regularly. Still, protocol demanded investigation. Vexthal turned to his communications officer, a scarred veteran named Zilox, whose silver carapace bore the marks of decades in service. "Alert the fleet. Full stealth engagement. Formation Epsilon 7. If this is an unknown species, we must gather complete intelligence before making contact." 8 Kyvarn stealth ships moved in perfect synchronization, their sleek, blade-like forms nearly invisible against the cosmic backdrop. Kyvarn stealth technology was legendary, capable of bending light, dampening energy emissions, and masking quantum signatures to the point where even the Dominion's most advanced sensors struggled to detect them. Vexthal felt pride swell in his chest. Whatever species lay ahead, they would never know the Kyvarn were watching. As they closed the distance, the sensor readings sharpened and became deeply disturbing. "Commander," KYRL's voice trembled. "I'm counting 53 vessels ahead. Repeat, 53 vessels. 53. The number hung in the air like a physical weight. Even the mighty Kyvarn rarely assembled fleets larger than 30 ships except during open war. Visual feed. "Now," Vexthal ordered. The hologram shifted, and Vexthal found himself staring at something that defied every expectation. The ships ahead were massive, easily 3 times the size of standard Dominion cruisers. Their designs were brutal and angular, all hard edges and aggressive lines, with none of the elegant curves favored by most spacefaring civilizations. They looked like weapons given form, built with singular, violent purpose. But what truly seized Vextal's attention was their formation. The ships were arranged in overlapping defensive layers, smaller vessels positioned to provide coverage for larger ones. Every angle was protected, every approach covered by multiple weapon emplacements. It was a formation that could transition from defense to offense in heartbeats. Analysis, Vextal demanded. Zillox worked quickly, his clawed hands dancing across the control interface. The vessels appeared to be of uniform design, suggesting single-species origin. Hull composition is unusual. Layered metallic alloys with ceramic plating. Energy signatures indicate fusion reactors, but the output levels exceed theoretical maximum efficiency by 42%. Weapon systems are extensive. I'm detecting missile batteries, directed energy weapons, and several systems I cannot identify. A cold sensation spread through Vextal's body. This was no primitive civilization. This was a military force capable of challenging the Dominion itself. Could these be human vessels? KYRL asked quietly. Impossible, Vextal replied automatically. But even as he said it, doubt crept into his mind. Initiate deep scan, Vextal ordered. I want complete data. Hull markings, communication frequencies, crew composition, everything. The Kyvarn sensors were powerful, capable of penetrating most forms of shielding and armor. Data flooded in, and with each new piece of information, Vextal's unease deepened. The ships bore markings in an unfamiliar alphabet. The ship's computer quickly matched the symbols to linguistic databases. They were human letters. Names like Defiant Dawn, Unbreakable, Eternal Sentinel, and Final Answer. Each name was a declaration, a message carved in steel. Commander, Zillox reported, his voice barely steady. I'm detecting biological signatures. Oxygen-breathing life forms consistent with human physiology. Commander, these are human ships. Silence fell over the bridge. Every officer stared at the display, trying to comprehend what they were seeing. In 200 cycles, the humans had gone from barely achieving orbit to building a fleet that could threaten the galactic dominion itself. How? KYRL whispered. Vextal did not answer. His mind raced through implications. If humans had advanced this quickly, what else could they do? What other surprises awaited? And most critically, why had they built such a massive military fleet? Open a channel to Dominion Command, Vextal commanded. Priority Omega. We need to report this immediately. The communication system activated, establishing a faster-than-light link across thousands of light years. Within moments, Vextal found himself facing High Chancellor Drevike, one of the oldest and most powerful members of the Dominion Council. Commander Vextal, Drevike's holographic image materialized, his ancient features creased with irritation. This had better be. High Chancellor, I'm transmitting visual data now. Vextal interrupted. A breach of protocol he'd never before committed. We discovered a human fleet in Sector Theta 9. 53 vessels. Advanced military configuration. They appear to have achieved technological advancement far beyond our projections. Drevike's expression transformed from irritation to shock as he reviewed the data. For a long moment, he said nothing. This changes everything, Drevike finally said. Commander, maintain observation position. Do not, under any circumstances, make contact with the humans. We must assess the threat level before proceeding. Understood, High Chancellor. However, I must report my preliminary assessment. Based on fleet size and weapons capabilities, I recommend classifying humans as Category Alpha threats. Category Alpha was the highest threat classification in Dominion terminology. It indicated a species capable of challenging Dominion military forces and potentially disrupting the galactic balance of power. Only 3 other species in known space held such classification. Agreed. Drevke said grimly, I'm authorizing immediate surveillance protocols. Gather all possible intelligence. The Council will convene an emergency session. Drevke out. The communication link closed. Vexthal looked at the human ships again, studying their aggressive lines and powerful weapons. Somewhere inside those vessels were the humans themselves, the species that had just surprised the entire galaxy. "Commander, should we move closer?" KYRL asked. Vexthal considered carefully. The Kai-Varn stealth systems were unparalleled. No species had ever detected them when they chose to remain hidden. "Yes," Vexthal decided. "Adjust formation. Bring us to within 40,000 kilometers. But stay alert. If anything seems wrong, we retreat immediately." The scout fleet moved forward, gliding silently through space like shadows stalking prey. As they drew closer, more details became visible. The human ships were scarred and worn in places, suggesting extensive use. Some bore markings that might be mission tallies or kill counts. These were not showpieces. These were working military vessels. KYRL activated communication intercept systems, capturing human radio transmissions. The translators struggled briefly before finding patterns. "Commander, I'm picking up multiple human communications. They appear to be conducting training exercises." "Training?" Vexthal leaned forward. "Play them." A human voice filled the bridge, harsh and clipped to Kai-Varn ears. The translator provided real-time meaning. "Blue wing, adjust your formation. You're drifting 20 meters off position. Red wing, prepare for simulated missile launch in 20 seconds. New recruits, pay attention to your sensor displays. In real combat, you won't get a second chance. Training exercises. New recruits." The implications hit Vexthal like a physical blow. This wasn't humanity's main fleet. This wasn't even their veteran forces. This was a training group teaching new members how to operate in space. If this was their training fleet, what did their actual military look like? "Transmit all data to Dominion Command immediately," Vexthal ordered, his voice tight. "Mark at highest priority." Around him, his officers worked in stunned silence, each grappling with the same terrifying realization. KYRL spoke up again, his young voice uncertain. "Commander, I'm detecting something unusual in the human engine emissions. Mathematical patterns I don't recognize. The energy fluctuations aren't random." "Explain," Vexthal demanded. "I cannot, Commander. The patterns don't match any known technology in our database. It's as if the humans are using principles of physics we haven't yet discovered." Vexthal felt his concern deepen. Advanced military forces were one thing. Unknown physics were something else entirely. "Continue monitoring," Vexthal ordered. "I want every piece of data recorded and analyzed." The next few hours passed in tense observation. The Kai-Varn scouts watched as the human fleet conducted training exercises with frightening precision. Ships moved in coordinated patterns. Weapons fired in perfect synchronization. Communications flowed seamlessly. These humans knew how to wage war. Then, without warning, everything changed. The human fleet suddenly shifted formation. Ships that had been arranged in training patterns snapped into aggressive configurations. Weapon systems that had been in standby mode activated simultaneously. The entire fleet rotated, massive vessels turning with surprising speed. They were now facing directly toward the Kai-Varn scout position. "Commander!" Zilox's voice was barely a whisper. "The humans are looking right at us." "Impossible," Vexthal said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Our stealth systems are perfect. They cannot detect us." Yet the evidence before his eyes suggested otherwise. 53 human warships pointed their weapons at position in empty space where 8 invisible Kai-Varn scouts tried very hard not to exist. Then, cutting through the silence of space, came a radio transmission in broken but understandable galactic standard. The voice was female, calm, and absolutely terrifying in its certainty. "We know you're there. Stand down." For simple words. Yet they shattered 2 centuries of Kai-Varn pride and technological superiority in an instant. Vexthal stood frozen, his 4 eyes locked on the holographic display, where 53 human warships pointed their weapons directly at his invisible fleet. "That's not possible," Zilox whispered, his silver carapace fading to pale gray. "Our stealth technology has never been compromised. Never. Not by any species in the galaxy." KYRL checked, and rechecked his instruments, his hands trembling. All systems show normal function, Commander. Stealth field operating at full capacity. Light refraction perfect. Energy dampening complete. By every measure, we should be completely invisible. Yet the humans knew they were there. Somehow, impossibly, the humans had detected 8 ships that shouldn't exist in their perception of reality. Options, Vexthal demanded, forcing his voice to remain steady. We could retreat, Carol offered, jump to faster than light, and return to Dominion space. The humans might lose track of us during transition. Or we maintain position, Zilox countered. They said to stand down, not to leave. Perhaps they simply wished to talk. Vexthal considered both options. Retreat was logical, safe, but retreat also meant returning with incomplete intelligence. Besides, a darker part of his mind whispered, how could the humans possibly threaten them? Yes, they'd somehow detected the stealth field, but detection wasn't the same as danger. Pride made the decision for him. We maintain position, Vexthal announced, but keep weapons armed and engines ready for immediate retreat. Minutes passed in tense silence. Then KYRL pulled up additional data from communication intercepts. Commander, I'm picking up internal human transmissions. They're discussing the situation. Play them, Vexthal ordered. Multiple human voices filled the bridge. Contacts maintaining position. 8 vessels. Estimated frigate class based on energy signatures. Stealth capabilities confirmed, visual and standard sensor detection negative, but quantum wake signatures clear as day. Should we send another message, Captain? Negative. We gave them a chance to identify themselves. If they want to play hide and seek, we'll show them we can see them just fine. Training Squadron Alpha. Maintain weapons lock. Do not fire unless fired upon. Remember, these might be friendlies who don't know we can detect them. The transmissions continued. And with each word, Vexthal felt his certainty crumbling. The humans weren't bluffing. They genuinely could detect the Kyvarn ships despite the stealth systems. And once again, they confirmed this was merely a training fleet. KYRL spoke up, carrying new concern. Commander, I've completed analysis of those strange energy patterns. The humans are generating deliberate quantum interference fields. The mathematics are sophisticated beyond anything I've seen. Commander, I believe the humans can weaponize quantum mechanics. Explain, Vexthal said, though cold dread was already forming. If the humans have learned to weaponize quantum interference, they could disrupt our electronic systems directly. Shields, weapons, even life support. Everything relies on electronic control. Vexthal turned back to the display. Suddenly, those aggressive formations seemed far more threatening. Move us closer, Vexthal decided. I want detailed scans of those quantum generation systems. It was curiosity, the same curiosity that had driven the Kyvarn to explore the stars that sealed their fate. The 8 scout ships glided closer, moving with the confidence of hunters who had never been prey. They closed from 40,000 kilometers to 20,000. The human fleet didn't react. Ships maintained formation, weapons still tracking, but not firing. It was almost as if they were waiting. Then, before Vexthal could order the faster-than-light jump, something happened. It started as a barely noticeable fluctuation in the quantum readings. A small pulse of energy, almost too weak to detect, spreading outward from the human fleet. It washed over the Kyvarn scout ships like a gentle wave. Then, within 3 heartbeats, everything went catastrophically wrong. Warning klaxons blared as system after system reported critical failures. Navigation consoles went dark. Weapons control showed error messages in every subsystem. The faster-than-light drive refused to respond. Its complex quantum mechanics disrupted and collapsed. What's happening? Vexthal shouted over the alarms. KYRL frantically checked his instruments. The quantum pulse, Commander, it disrupted our systems at the fundamental level. Every electronic component is cascading into failure. Around the bridge, crew members worked desperately to restore control. It was futile. Life support began fluctuating, temperature dropping. Emergency lights flickered as main power systems shut down one by one. Through the viewports, Vexthal could see the other 7 ships drifting helplessly, their running lights dimming as power failed. 8 proud Kyvarn scout ships, equipped with the finest technology the Galactic Dominion could provide, reduced the helpless debris by a single pulse from the humans. Xil'Ox managed to restore partial communication. He captured one final transmission, a male voice, deep and calm, speaking in perfect galactic standard. Attention Kyvarn vessels. This is Admiral Marcus Reeves of the United Earth Defense Force. Your ships have been disabled by non-lethal quantum suppression. You are in no immediate danger, but you are no longer capable of faster-than-light travel or offensive action. We're dispatching recovery teams to stabilize your life support. Do not resist, and no harm will come to you. This is your only warning. The transmission ended. On the flickering display, Vexthal watched human ships begin moving toward the disabled Kyvarn fleet. KYRL looked at his commander, all 4 eyes wide with fear. What have we encountered, Commander? What are the humans? Vexthal had no answer. He had led his scouts into human space, expecting to observe a primitive species taking its first steps into the galaxy. Instead, he had found something far more dangerous. He had found a species that had learned to wage war at the quantum level, a species that could collapse the technology of civilizations far older than themselves. He had found, Vexthal realized with growing horror, a species that had prepared for this exact moment. The humans had known someone would come eventually. They had prepared countermeasures and protocols. They had turned their entire civilization into a weapon pointed at the stars, waiting for the rest of the galaxy to arrive. And now that galaxy was coming to meet them, whether it wanted to or not. The emergency lighting cast strange shadows across the Kyvarn bridge as systems continued their catastrophic failure. Vexthal gripped his console, watching helplessly as centuries of technological advancement collapse around him. The ship groaned, metal contracting the cold as environmental systems struggled. Through the viewport, he watched 3 human ships approaching. They moved with purpose and precision, closing the distance rapidly. The lead vessel maneuvered alongside Vexthal's flagship until the 2 ships were barely 10 meters apart. Then came the sound, high-pitched and harsh, of metal being cut through by powerful tools. They're breaching the hull. Xil'Ox reported unnecessarily. Vexthal made a decision. All crew, stand away from the airlock. Do not resist. We're not equipped to fight them. Record everything. If we survive, the Dominion must know what happened. The cutting stopped. A heavy thud. A circular section of hull pulled free. Through the opening came the humans themselves. They were shorter than Kyvarn, bulkier, moving with heavy grace that spoke of high-gravity worlds. Each wore powered armor that made them appear larger and more intimidating. The armor bristled with weapons and tools. 6 humans entered the bridge, moving with military precision. The lead human stepped forward. When it spoke, a translation device converted the words into galactic standard. The voice was female, firm but not hostile. I am Commander Elena Vasquez of the United Earth Defense Force frigate Resolute Dawn. We're here to provide emergency life support and medical assistance. Are any of your crew injured? Vexthal found himself surprised by the question. He'd expected threats, demands, perhaps violence. Instead, the humans were offering help. No injuries, Vexthal managed, but our life support is failing. We have perhaps 5 hours before conditions become critical. Vasquez nodded. She turned to her team and spoke in her own language. The translator provided meaning. Deploy emergency life support modules. Hook them to their environmental systems, if possible. If not, set up independent units. The human soldiers moved efficiently, pulling equipment from packs that seemed impossibly small. Within minutes, they connected portable generators to the ship's failing systems. Vexthal felt warmth returning as the human generators pumped heat and oxygen into the ship. Thank you, Vexthal said and meant it. Vasquez's helmet retracted, revealing her face. Dark skin, lighter eyes, hair pulled back tightly. She studied Vexthal with open curiosity. You're Kyvarn, she said. Not a question. Yes, I'm Scout Commander Vexthal of the Galactic Dominion Reconnaissance Fleet. How you know my species? A slight smile crossed Vasquez's face. Commander, we've known about the Galactic Dominion for 17 years. We've intercepted your communications, studied your probe transmissions, and prepared for the day we'd finally meet face to face. 17 years. The number struck Vexthal like a blow. Humans had known about galactic civilization for 17 years and had said nothing. Instead, they watched, learned, and prepared. The probe that visited our system 200 cycles ago sent data back via tight beam transmission. Vasquez continued. What your people didn't know is we intercepted it. We decoded it, learned your languages, and began monitoring your networks. We've been listening to Galaxy for a very long time. Commander. Kewaro spoke, voice shaking. That's impossible. Dominion encryption is unbreakable. Vasquez turned to him. Your encryption is excellent. Took our best minds 4 years to crack. But humans are very good at breaking codes. We've had to be. Our history is full of conflicts where better intelligence meant survival. We learned to break codes or we died. She turned back to Vexthal. My commanding officer would like to speak with you. Will you come aboard the Resolute Dawn? I promise you'll be treated as guests, not prisoners. Vexthal considered refusing. But what would be the point? His ship was dead. His crew depended on human life support. I'll come, Vexthal agreed. But my crew remain safe. They will be, Vasquez assured him. We're providing support to all 8 ships. Once your people are stabilized, we'll discuss what happens next. Vasquez led them through the makeshift passage. The boarding tube connected to an airlock on the human ship, which opened to reveal an interior both familiar and alien. The corridors were wider with higher ceilings. The walls were painted neutral gray with color markings for safety and direction. Everything built solidly, with exposed conduits suggesting easy maintenance over aesthetic beauty. They passed human crew members who stopped and stared with open curiosity. Some looked excited, others worried, but none hostile. Vasquez led them to the bridge. The human bridge was larger, with stations arranged in tiers. A viewport dominated the front wall, showing the disabled Kyvarn fleet and the human ships providing assistance. In the center stood a woman radiating authority despite average height. She wore the same uniform, but with additional rank markings. Her skin was pale, hair dark red, eyes striking blue. Commander Vexthal, she said in perfect galactic standard. I'm Captain Sarah Martinez of the Resolute Dawn. Welcome aboard. I'm honored, Captain, Vexthal said, falling back on formal diplomacy, though I wish we'd met under better circumstances. Martinez's expression was unreadable. These circumstances are entirely of your choosing, Commander. You entered human space without permission, observed our fleet using stealth technology, and advanced even after being warned. What did you expect? Vexthal had no answer. Martinez's expression softened slightly. But I understand you were following orders. That's why you're here as guests rather than prisoners. Please, we have much to discuss. She gestured to chairs clearly designed for Kyvarn physiology. One seated. Martinez pulled up a holographic display showing a map of local space. This is human space, she explained, highlighting a marked area. 62 star systems colonized over the past 14 years. 45 billion people living on 18 planets and hundreds of stations. She expanded the view to show an impressive array of symbols. And this is the United Earth Defense Force. 612 ships ranging from scouts to carriers. 32,000 fighters. 23 armed space stations. Ready to defend human territory. The numbers were staggering. How? Kewaro whispered. How did you advance so quickly? Martinez's smile was cold. Because we had to. When we intercepted that Dominion probe transmission, we faced a choice. Announce ourselves and hope the Dominion was peaceful, or assume the worst and prepare accordingly. She pulled up images of human history, scenes of war and destruction that made Vexthal's skin pale. This is what humans do to each other when we fight. Martinez said quietly, we've waged war for our entire history. We've nearly destroyed ourselves repeatedly. We know what it means to face an enemy who wants to erase you. So when we discovered the galaxy was full of species with superior technology, we made a decision. We would never be the weak ones again. We would become strong enough that no one would dare attack us. She closed the historical images. We took everything we learned from Dominion communications and leapfrogged centuries of development. We built fusion reactors based on Kaivarn designs, but improved them. We studied Dominion shields and made our own. And when we discovered references to quantum mechanics, we didn't just copy the research. We pushed it further than anyone had dared. The quantum suppression weapon, Vextal said, yes, took us 9 years to develop. Another 5 to perfect. It induces controlled quantum decoherence in electronic systems. We can collapse the wave functions your technology relies on. Best part, it's non-lethal. We disable ships without killing crews. She stood, walking to the viewport. Your people will be released unharmed once we complete this conversation. Your ships will be repaired using our technology, which means you'll take knowledge of our capabilities back to the Dominion. That's intentional. We want the Dominion to know what we can do. We want them to understand humanity isn't prey to be studied. We're equals, whether the Dominion likes it or not. She turned to face Vextal directly. So here's what happens next. You return to Dominion space and deliver a message. Tell them humanity requests formal diplomatic relations. Tell them we're willing to share technology and knowledge in exchange for being treated as equals. Tell them we seek peace but are prepared for war. And tell them this fleet you encountered, this force that disabled your scouts, is just our training squadron. Our actual military is far more capable. The words hung in the air. Vextal understood. Accept humanity as equals, or face them as enemies. I'll deliver your message, Vextal said quietly. But I cannot predict how the Dominion will respond. Neither can we, Martinez admitted. But we've made our position clear. The rest is up to your people. 3 days later, Vextal stood on the bridge of his restored flagship. The humans had been true to their word. Engineering teams had worked tirelessly, not just repairing systems, but improving them. The fusion reactor operated 7% more efficiently. Navigation systems responded faster. Even life support ran more smoothly. It was another demonstration. The humans could have destroyed them permanently. Instead, they'd made them better. Commander, KWR reported, all systems optimal. The humans left detailed documentation on every modification. More messages within messages. When Admiral Reeves requested permission to come aboard, Vextal granted it immediately. The Admiral arrived with only Captain Martinez and 2 security personnel. He wore full dress uniform, dark blue with silver trim, and a chest full of medals. Commander Vextal, Reeves greeted formally. I wanted to speak before you depart. There are things that need saying away from my ships. In Vextal's ready room, Reeves pulled out a device projecting a galactic map. Red dots scattered across the display. Hundreds spread through Dominion space. These are human defensive platforms. Reeves explained. We spent 10 years seeding them throughout the galaxy. Small, heavily stealthed, equipped with quantum suppression capability. Right now, they're monitoring every major Dominion system. Vextal felt his skin pale. You place weapons throughout Dominion space. Insurance, Reeves corrected. They can't destroy ships or kill people. They can only disable electronics temporarily. But, Commander, if your fleet hadn't returned, if the Dominion attacked human space, these platforms would activate simultaneously. Communication networks would collapse. Navigation would fail. Life support will remain functional. But faster-than-light travel would become impossible. The Dominion would be temporarily unable to coordinate military action. Martinez spoke up. We call it the fail-safe protocol. If contact with human space is lost for more than 72 hours, platforms activate automatically. It ensures that even if humanity lost a first strike, we'd still level the playing field. Vextal stared in horror. The humans hadn't just prepared defenses. They'd reached across the galaxy and placed leverage in the heart of Dominion civilization. This is what you need to understand. Reeves said seriously, when you report to the Dominion, they need to know attacking us isn't viable. Any military action will result in chaos lasting weeks or months. You're forcing the Dominion to negotiate, Vextal said. We're ensuring they have motivation to negotiate fairly. Reeves corrected. Throughout human history, peaceful negotiations only worked when both sides had something to gain and lose. Right now, the Dominion has more to lose. That creates balance. He closed the map. But I want to be clear, we don't want to use these platforms. If the Dominion accepts our proposal, if we work together as equals, these remain inactive. As trust builds, we may deactivate them completely. And if the Dominion refuses? Vexthal asked, then humanity remains independent. We defend our borders and continue developing. The platforms stay active as deterrents. We don't seek conflict, but we won't be pushed around either. Martinez leaned forward. Commander, humanity doesn't fit the usual pattern the Dominion expects. We advance too quickly, too aggressively. The Dominion will be tempted to view us as threats needing containment. That would be a mistake. Give us respect, we'll be valuable allies. Try to control us, we'll be persistent problems. Either way, humanity isn't going away. Vexthal sat processing everything. The humans had outmaneuvered the Dominion at every turn, observed secretly, developed rapidly, positioned strategically, and now presented a situation where cooperation was the only rational choice. I'll tell the Dominion everything, Vexthal finally said, but you must understand, the Dominion isn't accustomed to being outmaneuvered. There will be representatives who view this as insult, who will demand action regardless of strategy. We anticipated that. Reeves acknowledged. That's why first contact happened with scouts rather than diplomats. It keeps things simple politically. He stood, offering his hand. Commander Vexthal, you conducted yourself with honor. You protected your crew, accepted a difficult situation with grace, maintained dignity facing superior force. The Dominion is fortunate to have officers like you. Vexthal grasped the human's hand. And humanity is fortunate to have leaders like you, Admiral. You could have destroyed my fleet, but chose mercy. These choices will be remembered. That's my hope, Reeves said with a slight smile. Safe travels, Commander. I expect we'll meet again when formal negotiations begin. The journey back to Dominion space took 4 days. Vexthal worked constantly on his report, trying to find words that would adequately convey what had happened. How did one explain that everything the Dominion believed about human development was catastrophically wrong? KYRL assisted with technical documentation, compiling detailed analysis. The young officer had matured considerably during the mission, his initial excitement replaced by genuine respect for human capabilities. Commander, KYRL said on the second day, I've been analyzing what we witnessed. The humans said they advanced quickly because they were afraid. But I think there's more. They were curious. Every human we met asked questions, wanted to understand, refused to accept limitations. That curiosity, combined with their competitive nature, made them advance faster than any species I've studied. You respect them, Vexthal observed. I respect their capability, KYRL corrected. I don't admire their violent history or their willingness to sacrifice lives, but I respect their determination. They became what they needed to become to survive. Zilox had spent the journey analyzing human communication patterns. Commander, I've reviewed all captured transmissions. Humans have approximately 212 separate nations and political entities on their homeworld alone. They spend enormous energy debating and competing with each other. Yet when they detected the Dominion probe, all those entities united almost instantly. It's remarkable. Unity born from external threat, Vexthal said, common among developing species. That's the interesting part. Their unity hasn't fractured. If anything, it's grown stronger. They maintain individual identities and continue debates, but they all agree on fundamental principles. Universal support for space expansion, collective contribution to defense, shared determination to be respected rather than dominated. It's unity through shared purpose, not enforced conformity. When the scout fleet finally emerged near Dominion Command, Vexthal immediately requested an emergency council session. His request was granted within hours. Dominion Command orbited a serene blue world called Kirith Prime, named after the species that founded the Dominion 3,000 cycles ago. The command itself was a massive station housing representatives from 62 different species, the bureaucratic center of galactic civilization. Vexthal was escorted to the Grand Council chamber, a circular room with seating arranged in tiers. High Chancellor Drevike waited at the center, his ancient features grave. Around the room sat representatives from every major Dominion species. Scout Commander Vexthal, Drevike's voice carried throughout the chamber. You requested this emergency session to report on your encounter with humans. The council is ready. Vexthal stepped into the central area, feeling dozens of eyes from multiple species focused on him. He activated the holographic projector and began. The council chamber remained silent as he spoke, though shock and disbelief spread visibly through assembled representatives. When he described the quantum suppression attack, several exchanged worried glances. When he revealed human advancement and secret observation, the chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. Drevike called for order. Commander, you're telling us humans have been intercepting communications for 17 years, possess technology capable of disabling any Dominion vessel, have placed weapons throughout our space? Yes, High Chancellor, Vexthal confirmed. And I must emphasize, everything I'm telling you, the humans wanted me to tell you. They're not hiding capabilities. They're demonstrating them. A representative from the Zephyron species, a tall, crystalline being, rose. This is outrageous. How dare primitives spy on the Dominion? How dare they place weapons in our territory? This is an act of war. Before Vexthal could respond, another representative spoke. This one from the Telvari, a peaceful species known for diplomatic skill. Representative Kresh, perhaps we should hear the full report before declaring war on a species that just demonstrated it can disable our entire fleet without firing a shot. The Zephyron representative vibrated with anger, but sat. Vexthal continued, explaining the human proposal and strategic positioning. He played recordings of his conversations with Admiral Reeves and Captain Martinez, letting the council hear directly from human voices. When he finished, silence fell. Then Drevike addressed the council. Representatives, we face an unprecedented situation. A species has achieved technological parity in less than 200 cycles. They prepare for this moment with sophistication rivaling our oldest civilizations. They present us with choice, accept them as equals or face them as adversaries already positioned advantageously. We cannot let this stand, the Zephyron representative insisted. If we allow humans to dictate terms, every species will think they can challenge the Dominion. And how do you propose we respond? Asked the Telvari representative. Commander Vexthal explained humans can disable our ships and collapse communications across Dominion space. Military action would be catastrophic. The debate raged for hours. Some wanted immediate action despite risks. Others advocated cautious diplomacy. A few suggested isolation, refusing all contact. The council was fractured. Finally, an elderly representative from the Kirith species itself rose. She was Counselor Miravel, one of the oldest and most respected members, known for wisdom and long perspective. Representatives, Miravel said, her age voice carrying authority. I've served this council for 160 cycles. In that time, I've seen us welcome 43 new species. Each time, we followed protocols designed to guide civilizations through transition to galactic citizenship. She gestured at the holographic display. But humans aren't following expected patterns. Our protocols were designed for species developing at normal rates who discovered us through our deliberate contact. Humans developed impossibly fast and discovered us through our carelessness. We revealed ourselves 200 cycles ago through that probe, then continued observation without introduction. We set the tone by choosing surveillance over communication. Humans simply responded in kind. Are you suggesting we're at fault? The Zephyron representative demanded. I'm suggesting we share responsibility, Miravel replied calmly. More importantly, humans present an opportunity disguised as challenge. They offer technology sharing, trade, mutual defense. They bring fresh perspectives and rapid innovation. They can revitalize the Dominion, push us to advance in unconsidered ways. Or destabilize everything we've built, another countered. Perhaps we need destabilization, Miravel said quietly. Representatives, I must ask honestly, when did the Dominion last truly innovate? When did we make significant breakthroughs or develop new perspectives? We become comfortable, stable, perhaps too cautious. Humans offer us a chance to grow again. Her words challenged assumptions that had guided the Dominion for millennia. Dreve K spoke. Counselor Miravel makes valid points. But can we trust humans? They've demonstrated deception, military capability, strategic thinking some might call manipulative. What guarantee do we have they'll honor agreements? Vexthal raised his hand. When Dreve K nodded, he stepped forward. High Chancellor, during my time with humans, I observed something critical. They kept every promise. They said they'd provide life support. They did. They said they'd repair our ships. They made them better. They said they'd release us. We left freely with full knowledge of their capabilities. Every action matched their words. He paused. More than that, I saw how they treated each other. Crew members of different ranks, backgrounds, characteristics, all working toward common goals. They debate constantly, but they respect each other. They're contentious, High Chancellor, but also honorable. When they make agreements, they keep them. One commander's word isn't enough, the Zephyron representative objected. Then send a diplomatic mission, the Telvari suggested. Meet human leaders, tour facilities, assess their culture directly. Negotiate terms while verifying intentions. The debate continued, but slowly consensus formed. The Council would send a diplomatic mission. They would negotiate from cautious respect rather than assumed superiority. They would seriously consider the human proposal. It took 3 more days, but eventually the Council reached formal decision. They would accept humanity's request for diplomatic contact. A delegation would be assembled representing all major Dominion species, and they would travel to human space to begin negotiations. Vexthal was asked to join as military advisor, given his unique experience. He accepted, feeling both honored and apprehensive. 7 months passed as the diplomatic mission organized. During that time, limited communication established with human authorities. The humans proved cooperative, providing detailed information about customs, languages, diplomatic protocols. They were, Vexthal noted, better prepared than the Dominion. Finally, the diplomatic fleet departed. 15 ships carrying representatives from every Dominion species. Protected by military escorts everyone hoped wouldn't be necessary. Vexthal stood on the bridge of the lead diplomatic vessel as they approached coordinates humans provided. What awaited them stole his breath. The humans had constructed a massive space station at their territory's edge, clearly built specifically for this occasion. It was enormous, easily 4 times standard Dominion station size, with docking facilities for dozens of ships. The architecture blended human angular aesthetics with softer curves clearly designed for non-human visitors. It was a statement of capability and welcome combined. But what truly seized Vexthal's attention was the surrounding fleet, not the 53 training vessels from months ago. Hundreds of ships, sleek destroyers, massive carriers, powerful battleships, all arranged in formations clearly defensive but undeniably impressive. This was humanity's actual military. It dwarfed what Vexthal had seen before. By the stars, Kewaro whispered. They weren't exaggerating. This is just one fleet, and it's larger than the Dominion's entire military. A communication came through. The voice familiar, warm with genuine welcome. Dominion Diplomatic Mission. This is Admiral Marcus Reeves of the United Earth Defense Force. On behalf of all humanity, welcome to Unity Station. We've been looking forward to this meeting. Please proceed to docking bays 1 through 15. Our diplomatic corps is ready to receive you. The Dominion ships docked without incident. As Vexthal disembarked, he was greeted by an honor guard of human soldiers in dress uniforms. They saluted smartly, a gesture transcending species barriers. Commander Vasquez was there, now wearing diplomatic uniform rather than military gear. Commander Vexthal, welcome back. I hope your journey was pleasant. Uneventful, Vexthal replied, which after our last meeting, I count as pleasant. Vasquez smiled. Come, the delegation is gathering in the main conference hall. Today, Commander, We begin writing a new chapter of galactic history together. As Vexthal followed through the impressive station, passing human and Dominion personnel watching each other with curiosity but not hostility, he reflected on how much had changed. The galaxy had been forced to recognize humanity wasn't another species to be guided and integrated on the Dominion's terms. Humanity had claimed its place as equals, backed by capability and determination that couldn't be ignored. He entered the conference hall, where human and Dominion diplomats gathered. Looking at the assembled representatives beginning their careful dance of diplomacy, Vexthal allowed himself cautious optimism. It wouldn't be easy. There would be disagreements, misunderstandings, tension. But both sides were here, talking instead of fighting, seeking cooperation instead of conflict. The conference began with formal introductions and prepared statements. But as hours progressed and barriers broke down, something remarkable happened. Humans and Dominion representatives started talking not as potential adversaries, but as curious beings seeking understanding. Questions asked and answered, ideas exchanged, genuine relationships beginning to form. Above it all, Admiral Reeves watched with satisfaction. Humanity had gambled everything on this moment. The gamble was paying off. They were being heard, respected, taken seriously as partners shaping the galaxy's future. It was everything they'd worked for, everything they'd sacrificed for. 3 months into negotiations, real progress emerged. Technology sharing agreements, trade frameworks, cultural exchange programs, mutual defense protocols. Slowly, carefully, humanity and the Dominion were building something unprecedented, a partnership between species that should have been separated by centuries of development. Vexthal found himself frequently consulting with human military officers, comparing tactics and strategies. What he learned both impressed and humbled him. Humans thought about warfare differently. They considered angles the Dominion never had. They questioned assumptions that had gone unchallenged for millennia. One evening, he found himself in an observation lounge with Admiral Reeves, both watching ships from their respective civilizations moving in coordinated patrol patterns. The first joint Dominion-human defense exercise. "Tell me something, Admiral," Vexthal said. "When you disabled my fleet that day, you could have destroyed us. Easily. Why didn't you?" Reeves was quiet for a long moment. "Because we've seen what happens when civilizations choose destruction over communication," he finally said. "Earth's history is full of that mistake. We've learned, often the hard way, that making enemies is easy. Making friends is harder, but infinitely more valuable." He turned to face Vexthal. "We didn't spend 17 years preparing just to fight, Commander. We prepared, so we'd have a choice. The choice to engage as equals rather than victims. The choice to contribute rather than be exploited. The choice to build something better than the cycle of conquest and submission that's defined so much of galactic history. The Dominion will change because of you," Vexthal said. "Already, I see representatives questioning old assumptions, considering new approaches. You're pushing us to be better." "Good," Reeves smiled, "because you're pushing us too. We're learning patience from Telvari diplomats, scientific rigor from Zephyron researchers, historical perspective from Kira scholars. We came to this relationship with much to prove. We're discovering we have much to learn as well." They stood in comfortable silence, watching their combined fleets move through space. "Do you think it will last?" Vexthal asked. "This peace we're building?" "I think," Reeves said carefully, "that it will last as long as both sides remember why we chose this path. We're not allies because we're similar. We're allies because we recognize that our differences make us stronger together than apart. As long as we remember that, as long as we choose understanding over fear, cooperation over competition. Yes, I think it will last." Vexthal nodded slowly. "Then I will work to ensure the Dominion remembers. And I trust you'll do the same for humanity. Count on it, Commander." Back on Earth, in the unified government chambers that coordinated humanity's interstellar affairs, leaders gathered to review the diplomatic mission's progress. The reports were encouraging, better than anyone had dared hope. "We did it," one representative said with barely contained excitement. "We actually did it. We went from primitives they cataloged and forgot to partners they respect. We're not done yet. Another cautioned. This is just the beginning. Building lasting relationships will take decades. Centuries, maybe. But we have those decades now. A third point out. We have time because we took the time to prepare. We didn't rush into contact unprepared. We didn't assume they'd be friendly. We prepared for the worst and positioned ourselves to negotiate from strength. That preparation saved us. The room fell silent, each person reflecting on the journey that had brought them here. 17 years ago, they discovered they weren't alone. 17 years of fear, determination, sacrifice, and relentless preparation. And now, finally, they were seeing the results. Humanity had claimed its place among the stars, not through conquest, not through submission, but through competence, capability, and the unwavering determination to be respected as equals. The future was uncertain. Challenges would come. Disagreements would arise. But humanity had proven it could meet challenges, could overcome obstacles, could adapt and thrive in circumstances that would have destroyed lesser civilizations. They had done more than survive first contact. They had transformed it into an opportunity to shape not just their own future, but the future of the entire galaxy. On Unity Station, in a small cafe where species from across the galaxy gathered to share meals and conversation, a young human researcher sat across from a Kira scholar, discussing quantum mechanics. Nearby, a Dominion security officer shared tactical insights with her human counterpart, both laughing at similarities in their training despite coming from worlds light years apart. At another table, a Telvari diplomat taught a group of human children about the art of negotiation, while the children showed him how to play a traditional Earth game. These small moments, repeated thousands of times across the station, were building something unprecedented, not just an alliance between civilizations, but genuine understanding between species. Bridges built person by person, conversation by conversation, shared experience by shared experience. This was the future humanity had fought for, a future where they weren't alone, weren't afraid, weren't fighting for survival against a hostile universe. A future where they were partners, contributors, respected members of a galactic community that was better for having them. The journey had been long. The costs had been high. The risks had been enormous. But as Vextal watched humans and Dominion citizens working together, learning from each other, building friendships that transcended the vastness of space, he knew it had been worth it. Every sacrifice, every risk, every moment of fear and uncertainty, all worth it for this. A galaxy learning to see humanity not as primitives or threats, but as equals, and humanity learning to see the galaxy not as a danger to be feared, but as a community to be joined. The age of human isolation had ended. The age of human partnership had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. For more such thrilling science fiction stories, don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe to Starborn Tales.